Governor Kristi Noem has attempted to spin this story to make it seem like South Dakotans are okay with this, that this is a fact of life for people who live in rural America on the farm or on the ranch. That's what really fires me up about this as somebody who comes from many generations of ranching, somebody who grew up in South Dakota, somebody whose entire family still lives in South Dakota and runs a ranch. It really bothers me that she's trying to pass this off as something that South Dakotans or Middle Americans just do.
Yeah.
That really bothers me. It's not the truth, Annie.
Yeah. Okay. So, Tommy, I think the story, it does seem like nobody's taught, like, literally nobody's asking Kristi Noem about what happened with her and her pets 20 years ago. But here we are talking about this story. And I do think that you're onto something, that the idea that she is in the vice presidential conversation, any story that comes up gathers the attention of all of the media because most people want to probably tear her down because they don't like Republicans. But this story is in a greater context and people are trying to assess her character. Why would you shoot a puppy if you could turn the puppy over to someone who could maybe train it or take better care of it? Like, what is it about this situation that, if you're somebody who grew up, we've got a lot of farm area around here in the St. Louis. Once you get out past the suburbs, a lot of rural area. A lot of people understand that you handle animals differently on a farm than you do in a suburban house when you've got your, lapdog or whatever. But why tell this story? Why does she need to look, in her words, like she's this tough person that can handle making hard decisions? Why? I just don't understand
it. Well, I can only speculate, but I think that if I'm speculating, pretty realistically, it's that this story was probably going to come out and that she wanted to get ahead of it and put a good spin on it. So my guess is it wasn't just that she's politically ridiculous and she wanted to put this in there. My guess is that this is the best way that she thought she could frame it, with this BS on the ranch. You do tough things and you make tough decisions. Oh, give me a break. What really bothers me as well is that she's been going on this PR tour now to try to, quiet her critics, calling it fake news, the story that she wrote herself. But again, now she's trying to say that she put down the dog because it slaughtered and massacred livestock. Okay. If you have a dog who is untrained and you put him around chickens, they're still a dog. And if a dog is going to, maybe get into some chickens and kill chickens, that's not something that makes this dog a monster or a danger to society. I have a golden doodle and he's never seen a chicken before. If I let my golden doodle out with some chickens, he's probably going to kill the chickens. My chihuahua will probably even try to take a jab at that. So it just really bothers me. But my guess is the story was going to come out. This is the best way she thought she could frame it, and now her narcissism is kicking in, and she's actually enjoying the attention she's getting, which is even worse.
So we're speaking with Tomi Lahren. She's the host of Tomi Lahren is Fearless. It's a podcast. You can check it out at OutKick.com. Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, 6 p.m. Central here. She pays attention to everything that's going on, just like we talk about here. So I would encourage you to check that out. You're talking a lot about Kristi Noem's character, the VP conversation. Why wouldn't she make a good vice president? What can you tell us about your personal experience with her that, forget about the dog story, would disqualify her for that part of the candidacy in your mind?
Well, again, to me, she's not vice presidential material. And I think the conversations of her being a potential running mate for Trump are coming mostly from her camp. I don't think they're coming much from the Trump camp. I think it's something that she is trying to make fetch happen, if you will, for the Mean Girls reference there. But listen, I have a lot of issues with Kristi Noem, and one of my primary issues actually revolves around the ranching community. I think that she does a lot for her personal family farm and ranch. I don't think she does a lot for South Dakota ranchers. I've been in the ranching conversation for a long time, advocating for things like country of origin labeling and really fighting for our American ranchers and making it possible for them to be able to compete and get out from underneath the meat packers. Kristi Noem has been mostly silent on that issue, hasn't bothered to show up for South Dakotans. Another issue, I myself went to Phillips, South Dakota when the Keystone XL pipeline was shut down, talked to a lot of people in that community. I asked them, has Governor Kristi Noem been here? And they told me, no, but she's been going on TV and talking about it a lot, but she hasn't come to actually talk to us. So I think that she has gotten a little bit on a high horse, getting national media, and she's forgotten about the people of South Dakota, and that really rubs me the wrong way.
Tommy, I coach my middle school daughter's volleyball team, and yesterday was Wednesday, and I showed up. I'm like, what? Why is everybody wearing pink? And they go, on Wednesdays, we wear pink. And I'm like, oh, that's what the mean girls do. Wear pink on Thursdays, would you, kids? So if it's not if Kristi Noem is not the vice president for you, do you have one in mind that you think is no brainer for Donald Trump to put on his ticket?
So logistically, this one's a challenge, but obviously I love Governor Ron DeSantis, and I think he's a true leader, a true, governor, a true patriot. So I would love to see that. I know logistically, both being from Florida, that's going to be difficult to get around. It's not that it can't be done, but it's obviously difficult. So I know that's more difficult to get around logistically. I do, however, think that Governor Ron DeSantis would make a fantastic vice president. He would make a fantastic president in 2028. So I'd love to see it. Another name that I kind of wasn't thinking of top of mind, but that I would love to see is a Senator Marco Rubio. Again, also Florida. I understand there's issues, but if you're looking for true leaders who are outspoken, who are unafraid to take on the issues and tackle the issues with true leadership and to actually get things done, I'm really loving Governor Ron DeSantis. I'm really loving Senator Marco Rubio. I think that maybe as far as it goes for maybe helping the national conversation and softening Donald Trump, maybe a Tulsi Gabbard might be an option. I don't particularly like the idea of a Democrat being my vice president,
Right.
but if he were to make a strategic decision, maybe that's the way to go.
You said my two faves. Marco Rubio was my fave in 2016 from the primary standpoint, reluctantly supported Donald Trump, and so glad that he did. He came and proved that he was going to govern on the majority much more conservatively than I expected him to. But my goodness, way better than Hillary Clinton. Have loved Marco Rubio and his willingness to bring new ideas to the table, even if they're kind of rough around the edges at first. And the Ron DeSantis thing, as complicated as it might have seemed 6 months ago or 9 months ago, it does feel less complicated right now. And it would be amazing to see Donald Trump use this as an opportunity to set up the next 12 years as opposed to just the next 4 years. Do you feel like the Republican Party right now is coalescing around Donald Trump, where we can throw out names like Little Marco and Ron DeSanctimonious in the Trump conversation, and people go, yeah, it is so much better than what we're dealing with right now?
Yeah, well, listen, let's also remember back in 2016, Senator Ted Cruz and then candidate and now former President Donald Trump, they went at it, and it was pretty vicious. A lion Ted. There was a lot of back and forth. And now the two seem to be very good friends. They worked together during the Trump administration. Obviously, Ted Cruz being a great advocate for the America First agenda. So all the name calling and all that stuff aside, listen, we got to save America. And I think both Governor Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump want to save America. So I think all the infighting aside, I think the Democrats have much more of a problem with infighting. They're trying to grapple with the pro-terror element of their party. So I think as far as the DeSanctimonious and the Little Marco, that's the least of our worries, my friends.
Yeah, the party of thick skin is not the progressive left. What they have done to the Democrat Party is kind of obnoxious and laughable. And watching the Republicans be the ones who are capable of, kind of fighting it out and getting through the muck of a primary and coming out with some principles that are a pretty broad tent, I think it's an exciting thing to see, and I just hope we can get it across the finish line in November. Tommy, thank you for being with us today. It's great to hear your insight personally as a South Dakotan on Kristi Noem and all the other stuff. We appreciate you.
Oh, happy to be here. Have a great one, guys.
Yep, you as well. Tomi Lahren, host of Tomi Lahren is Fearless, podcast on OutKick.com Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 6 p.m. Go to OutKick.com and check that out. She is fiery and she is straight to the point, and I always appreciate that you never have to question where she's coming from.